Cheers everyone. George back here with another episode of D-Runk Comics. Today, I am giving you a review of the Reign of the Superman movie, which I just got done seeing at a theater. There's a double feature, Fathom events, the AMC theaters, where got to see the Death of Superman movie and the Reign of the Superman movie back to back, like it was just one movie, kind of. So I'm going to give you my review of the movie, the experience of seeing it at the theater, and then I'll warn you before I get there. But at some point, I am going to go into spoilers on this. So grab yourself a drink, take a little sip. Oh, it's so good. All right. So first of all, seeing the movie was a lot of fun. You're really So it's a 2-night event, or a 2-day event, whatever you want to call it. And you really know that people that are showing up for this thing are like-minded people. It's not like going to see Avengers on opening night, and I'm not nerd shaming anyone. If you like Avengers, the movie, that's great. I love it too. But they're not all diehard comic book fans. People that went and saw this movie, pretty much diehard comic book fans. And that was a lot of fun for me. A lot of the references that happened in the movie, a lot of the characters that show up, and people were nerding out over it. It was a lot of fun. So, the Death of Superman movie is not new. That came out a couple months back in 2018, and I enjoyed that movie a lot. It attempted to make a more comic accurate Death of Superman movie than the Superman Doomsday movie that had been out previously, about 10 years ago or so. And but they also tried to kind of bring it into the New 52 style of costumes and characters and heroes, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I didn't care for the New 52 looking Doomsday. I prefer the Dan Jurgens Doomsday, but as far as that goes, and then the voice of Lex Luthor, who was done by Rainn Wilson, that was awful. I really wish they would have went a different route with the voice actor for Lex Luthor, but and then minor complaint, Rebecca Romijn playing Lois Lane, not the worst I've ever heard, but I don't know, but Rainn Wilson was by far the worst part of the voice acting. Not that he was even a bad actor, it just didn't sound right for Lex Luthor. It didn't fit for me. So, but I enjoyed the movie. The action was incredible. The fighting between Superman and Doomsday. The name of the movie is The Death of Superman. So I'm pretty sure that you can take a wild guess at what happens at the end of that one. But that leads us into the Reign of Superman. Reign of the Superman, and that movie I also really, really enjoyed. I had fun the entire time. They had some nods and tippings of the cap to fans out there that had read the books, previously. The way they did the story, it worked for me. There was some changes. I'm not going to talk about that just yet, but the changes did not offend me at all. They made sense in my opinion. So, I recommend you go see it. It will. They're going to do one more release of this in the theater tomorrow, and that'll in Central Time it's like happening at 8:00 and p.m. And so if you get a chance to see it in the theater, it is definitely fun. I will say that I really enjoyed the Fathom event style of the movie. They don't do any trailers before the movie. Not that I mind trailers, but they just cut right to the chase and got right to the movie. And then, so they show the Death of Superman. They do like a 5-minute intermission. So anyone that needs to use the restroom or get a refill or whatever, you can go do that real quick and then come back. And then the second movie happens. And then there is an after-credit scene at the end of Reign of the Superman. So it is all the way at the end of the credits. I definitely recommend you stick around for that. I didn't even know that there was one there, and I had started to get up, and then no one else did. And I was like, oh, I didn't do my research. I better sit down. And I was glad that I did. It was a lot of fun. So, hey, I recommend you see it. And then if you don't see it in the theater, it'll be available like on iTunes and Google Play and all Amazon, all that digitally on the 15th, and then it will be available on Blu-ray DVD on January 23rd if I have my dates right. And I very well may not have my dates right. So you know what you want to do, huh? All right. That's what I thought. I'm sorry. I'm acting tough. I apologize. Hey, I'm going to take a sip out of this real quick. When I set this glass down, we're going to be in full spoiler territory. So y'all have been warned. Spoilers! It's everywhere now. The graphics are there. You know spoilers are happening. Take a swig. Let's see what happens. All right. Spoiler time. So I'm not going to really spoil too much of the death of Superman. That movie has been out for a while now, and you know what happens in it. Superman gets killed by Doomsday at the end of it. One thing that I did not remember seeing until I saw it happen today, and maybe I saw it and I just forgot, or I blinked and I missed, I don't know, but Doomsday he's not underground like he was in the Death of Superman storyline. In this movie, he is inside of like a meteorite, and it crashes into the earth. And when they show that happening, when they show the meteorite appear, I forgot that a portal opens up, and that comes screeching through it. And there you go, you see it now. But if you know your comic books, your first thought when you see that is that looked like a boom tube. And it was a boom tube. That was one of the big changes that they made in the Reign of the Superman movie, is that Darkseid winds up being the puppet master behind the scenes of everything. He's the one that really made Hank Henshaw turn into Cyborg Superman, and he's controlling Hank Henshaw for a large portion of the movie. So, which is very different from the comic books. That is not the case in the comic books. But like I said, it worked in this movie, and they didn't even wind up fighting Darkseid. But that's who was doing it. So Darkseid, Apocalypse, they fired Doomsday as a weapon towards the Earth, and that's how Doomsday came to Earth. And the second phase of that is he took advantage of getting Hank Henshaw to become a villain and be the Cyborg Superman. So a couple of the other things that they changed. There is no Coast City destruction. That in the comic books, Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, just flattens Coast City, which is Green Lantern's metropolis or Gotham or what have you. And that was a big part of that story. He turns it into like a living cybernetic city, and it was a big part of that storyline. They don't do that at all in this. Instead, he pretty much enlists people to become, he gains their trust by being the most heroic of the Supermen, sounding very Superman-like in his actions and his words and all that. Gains a lot of followers, infuse them with like cybernetic powers. So he has this like cyber core is what he calls them, and their main mission is to open up a giant boom tube so Darkseid and his armies can come back through, stomp out the Earth while Superman is dead. So really, really interesting how they did that. At first I kind of went, but it was working for me. A couple of the other changes here, the Eradicator wasn't even a physical being. It was a hologram. It was made out of light. And that, is still very Eradicator-like. Very similar to the way he was in the Reign of the Superman comic books. But, it was an interesting take, but I liked it. you couldn't even tell that he was a hologram until later on in the movie. So, really well done on that. I loved Superboy. I loved John Henry Irons, Steel. He was really, really cool. The Cyborg Superman was awesome. I mean, he was a good villain, and they kind of gave him some backstory on why he wanted to run the Superman name through the mud. So then they did some other really cool things. There was a really cool like scene where Lois Lane and Wonder Woman sat down and had lunch, and it was awkward because in this realm, Wonder Woman had dated Superman like she did in New 52, and in this one, they had dated and broke up, and now it's Lois and Clark are dating, as it should be. But there's some awkwardness there, but it was fun to watch. And then they had some really cool newspaper clippings that paid homage to some of the covers from the Reign of the Superman arc. So here you had Eradicator, hitting him with the beams. Here you had Steel busting out through a brick wall, looking all wild. Here you had Superboy leaning up against a wall, looking all 90s, which is really cool. And then, I mentioned it earlier, I'm kind of jumping around, but I loved Steel. He was very Iron Man-like. His tech was really cool. In the comic book, at least during the Reign of the Superman, that hammer that he carries around is just a big old hammer. In this, it has technology built into it. It has, rocket packs inside of the hammer, so when he goes to swing it, it really swings. And it looked really, really cool. But yeah, not... after credit scene... No, that's coming next. So after Superman does come back, he comes back in the black suit, which, is pretty much right out of the comic books. It was really cool to see that. It was the end battle with Cyborg Superman and Superman was really, really cool. It was well done. It had a satisfying ending. I really appreciated it. Lex Luthor, Rainn Wilson voice, still annoying as all hell in the second part of the movie, but he's there. I didn't mind Lex Luthor being in it. The voice just ruined it for me. A couple other. After Superman fully wins the day, he comes back in the Superman Rebirth costume. So in the Death of Superman, he's wearing the New 52 costume, but when he comes back from the dead, he's in his Rebirth costume, which I absolutely love that costume. If you're not going to do the trunks, I think that's as good as the costume gets. So I was really, really happy with that version of the costume. And I didn't see it right away, but you could tell that there's no collar coming up on the neck. And, but it looked great, and it was a lot of fun. The Justice League is in this. They were all really good. And, it was a lot of fun for the movie. End credits scene, I'll talk about that. Basically, they're having a little Justice League meeting, and they're talking about how, wow, Darkseid is, that was a 2-stage attack against the Earth. That ain't cool, y'all. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to take the fight to him. So, yeah, the next movie, they're going to take the fight to Apocalypse, which should be a lot of fun to see. But, yeah, whether you see it in the theaters or you catch it on DVD or digital, definitely recommend watching it. It was a lot of fun. And sorry Zach couldn't be here to talk about it with me, but today is his lady friend's birthday, and she said... No, she actually told him he could go see it, but he made the right call. He decided not to. So you should be able to see him next weekend. Next weekend, me and Zach are both going to kind of like a smaller comic book convention here in Minnesota. So hopefully get some cool buys there. And that's really all I got. I don't know if there's anything that I did not mention in the movie. go ahead and feel free to comment below. Ask me, I'll tell you. And if you have seen it, let me know what you thought about it. Hopefully you liked the video, and hopefully you're subscribing to the old D-Run Comics. That's all I got, y'all. Let's hit it.